Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for coming along. This is really just a sort of informal but absolutely on the record briefing about the Continental Tour. I know the team are putting together a fact sheet with all this information on for all of you. It'll just take a short while for them to photocopy and bring it through. So in the meantime, I thought would hand over to John to talk through the idea behind the Continental Tour and the meets that have agreed to come on board. They all seem to be sitting in the front row, looking happy. And then we obviously have Alphonse, who you all know, to talk a little bit about the meets. So, John.
Thank you, Jackie. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you here, and great to see so many representatives of all the meetings involved here. So look, really delighted to be here at this information centre. Also, I should introduce Alphonse Yuc alongside me as well, who's meeting director for the Golden Spikes meeting in Ostrava, and has been a huge supporter of the concept. So thank you, and I'll ask you to say a few comments in a moment. But look, this is a new initiative. It's a collaboration between World Athletics, many of the leading meets around the world, the areas as well. It's important for, we believe, the future health of the sport and of our athletes and of the meetings. And I'd like to thank many of the world's leading meetings to embrace this new concept, also the areas for embracing it, and also I'd like to thank everyone who's put an awful lot of hard work into making this happen, the competition staff at World Athletics, also supported by Pearse Callahan as well. So thank you to all of you. The idea behind the World Athletics Continental Tour is to give a home to all of the world's top meetings that sit outside of the Diamond League. It'll be based on 3 levels, gold, silver and bronze, with different budget levels and quality against each of those 3 levels. Today we're very much focusing on the launch of the gold level of the World Athletics Continental Tour, which is very much the top international level broadcast product that provides the top level of competition for the athletes. And I think core to this concept is that by creating a strongly branded collection of meetings with a common goal, the impact of the whole is very much greater than the sum of the parts that make up the series and the tour. So in terms of its impact on athletics, in terms of its attractiveness to athletes, in terms of commercial and broadcast attractiveness. So just to give you a little bit of further background information on the Continental Tour, 2020 will be very much a pilot year with 10 meetings included, and we want to build from there, and with the ambition of getting to 15, 16 or even more meetings in time. It will be a pilot year in 2020, a fully formed tour in 2021, and I think this will be a different product to Diamond League, and by the way, Diamond League has been a huge supporter of the creation of this. This is not a league, but it's a tour. It's a collective of top meetings with many common elements between them, but also we want to preserve the regional flavour of many of the meetings as well. I think it's important as well that when I think back to my competitive days in the 1980s and 1990s, there were many more top-level one-day meeting opportunities for athletes to compete in than there are today. And I think this is part of our effort at World Athletics to help the health of the one-day meeting world and landscape, and really make sure we can kickstart the building of the top-level one-day meetings for the future, rather than actually what we've been seeing in recent years, where a number of the top-level one-day meetings have actually been disappearing. This is about creating more top-level competitive opportunities for our leading athletes. So the Continental Tour, as well as creating more competitive opportunities for athletes, will also give obviously strong income opportunities for athletes. Also, it will give top level world ranking points to our athletes as well. And for the disciplines that are not fully included in next year's Diamond League in 2020, when those disciplines are included within the Continental Tour, they'll receive the same level of world ranking points as they would do in the Diamond League, and also they'll be receiving the wildcard entry to the World Athletics Championships as well. Let me just run through the meetings that are included in the Continental Tour. We'll be handing out a fact sheet very shortly where you'll have the list. But the list of meetings, and there are 9 already secure. We're just concluding the 10th at the moment, and that'll be announced very shortly. But the 9 included are Tokyo, Nanjing, Ostrava, Hengelo, Turku, Kingston, Hungary. That's a challenge. I'm going to rehearse that one and come back to you. So Hungary, yeah, it was Budapest on my list, Silesia, and Zagreb. And as I said, there'll be a 10th announced very shortly indeed. You should always rehearse these things, shouldn't you, before coming to a press conference? So 9 meetings so far, there will be 10. Our ambition here is to have a Continental Tour meeting in every single one of the continents of the world. We're going to launch with, you'll see there's 3 continents included at the moment, Europe, Asia and North America. We hope to include a 4th continent with the inclusion of the 10th meeting, but that's still being concluded at the moment. And as a final thing actually I should talk about, which will be on the fact sheet, is in terms of prize money, a key element of this is to give our athletes more top earning opportunities, and within the core disciplines in the Continental Tour, the prize money pot per discipline will be $20,000 US, with a first prize of $6,000, and then there'll be additional discretionary events will have a pot of $10,000 prize money for each individual discipline. As I said, the disciplines that are not included within the Diamond League will always be core prize money events. So that's probably enough for me. Alphonse, would you like to give a reflection in terms of a meeting director and what you feel the Continental Tour gives to you?
Okay, thank you, John. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, after 10 years of IAAF World Challenge, now the meets are very happy. Something new came, something where the meets are more together, something where the meets are more cooperating, and something where World Athletics is more cooperating with the meets. So we are working together to build up a brand. After 10 years with World Challenge, which was nice, but we were not so much connected, and there was no branding, there was no other connections. Now we have the ideas, now we have a goal, what to develop, and so we are really, on behalf of all the meetings, which I am representing here, sitting as one person, but they are all here, nearly, of the meets, which should be part of it. We are very thankful, and we are really looking forward to a great cooperation to improve our meets, but also to give better opportunities, mainly to athletes, to compete in high-level situations. And I want to add also that the calendar is spreading from May, June, July until September, and that covers the whole season, which is very important. Also, as John already mentioned, the events which are, let's say, call it non-Diamond League final events, they will be staged at our meets at least 4 or 5 times together. And all these 4 or 5 times together, they will have the core event prize money, or we will try maybe to call it golden events, but we will see. It's $20,000. So it's only 10,000 less than Diamond League. Maybe for somebody it's a big difference, but when I say only, it's already something for the athletes. I hope so. And we included all these events into the system as we agreed, and now we have a great cooperation between the meetings under the coordination of World Athletics. And also included there is hammer throw, which is very important when I see Pavel Fajdek here, the multiple world champion of this event. And then, as John mentioned, there will be Diamond League world ranking points for these non-final Diamond League events to be held in our circuit. And we still need to work on a formula how we will score that at the end, the winners of Golden Tour will also get the wild cards in the events which are not part of Diamond League final, because every event deserves a wild card for Eugene 2021, at least for now. So this will also increase highly the level and quality of our meetings. And I hope also the acceptance from athletes will be on the same level. So they will like this idea and they will come and gladly compete. So all in all, we also want to work on timing, data, live results, even presentation, all these points to make our product and our meets as good as possible. Thank you very much to World Athletics.
Thank you, Alphonse. And this is a really exciting collaboration between World Athletics and the individual meets involved, hence the fact Alphonse is here on top table speaking on behalf of all the meetings. And by the way, all are available for comment at the end of this information session if anyone would like to speak to the individual meetings. And thanks again for your support, and thanks again for being here at this session. We really appreciate it.
Okay, so we'll go to questions, usual format. There are microphones, so please put your hand up and let us know who you are and where you are from. We'll start with Elias, and then we'll come down to you, Olaf.
Thank you, Elias Macquarie from the Daily Nation in Kenya. We are seeing a lot of meetings in Europe, and I'm hoping that Nairobi is one of the 10 to be considered. We saw the level of interest at the World Under-18s, and I mean, the crowds were huge. It's a continent ripe for more meetings. Nairobi is really a home of athletics, if you like. I hope it's being considered as a 10th meeting. And secondly, perhaps part of the IAAF legacy program, the cities that hold events on the World Athletics Series, like Nairobi, Cali in Colombia, perhaps should be considered to have, to be part of the circuit, to keep the legacy, to keep the facilities. I don't know if these are things that you're considering. And quickly, secondly, I hope to see the 5,000 meters more on this circuit. I don't know which events are there.
And by the way, we're very much looking forward to being in Nairobi next year for the World Junior Championships. And I think the city will stage a magnificent championships. Look, I think I stated it in my introduction. At the core of the concept of the Continental Tour is for every single continent of the world to be included. That's really important. And you'll notice that so far we've announced 9 of the 10 meetings that will be included next year. And it's not concluded yet, but there is a possibility that the 10th event will be in Africa. And we're working on that at the moment. And if not in 2020, we'll make sure we get there in 2021. It's an important element of this. And over time, we want to build a equal tour that has a critical mass of meetings in each of the continents around the world. I think you have to accept that the starting point is there are more top-level meetings in Europe than there are around the rest of the world, but this is part of the process of equalising that across the world.
We have Olaf in front. Thank you.
Olaf Borgmann, Kronenzeitung, Vienna. Will be the Continental Tour 2020 ready today to announce whether disciplines will be taking place, the non-Diamond League events? You are ready to announce where discus throw, triple jump and so on will take place? Is it in the fact sheet we will receive?
No, it's not at the moment. And by the way, the 5,000 metres will be included in several of the meetings. The reason we're not planning to announce it today is yes, we have a working document, and as Alphonse said, we're looking to have each discipline, particularly the non-Diamond League disciplines, at least 4 or 5 times across the season, and we can confirm that. But because we haven't concluded the 10 meeting makeup yet, we can't announce the full breakdown of disciplines across the whole season. We'd rather conclude the process and then announce the full disciplines in full. But as Alphonse said, we are ensuring across the 10 meetings that every discipline, and particularly those disciplines we've talked about, are showcased on a regular basis.
Hopefully before the end of the year.
Okay, thanks.
At the very back, no, oh, okay. Manny, at the very back by the wall, no back?
No.
Manny, okay, no, keep it there and then we'll go. Oh, apparently not. Okay, it's like watching tennis.
Can I go? Freelance Luciano Barra. John, will be the TV rights collective dealt by the IF like the Diamond League, or will be left to the individual meetings?
A good question. The domestic broadcast rights will be looked after by each individual meeting, and the idea is to pool the international broadcast rights, and they'll be distributed by Infront to create the international broadcast window or product.
Okay, thank you. And it's back to you at the back.
Thank you. Sean Pickering, representing Global Throwing here. Actually, one question was related to what Luciano just asked, whether there was going to be a coordinated television broadcast and perhaps within that a television coverage format, which you've tried to bring in or has been tried to bring in the Diamond League so that events are shown in a proper manner. There was one question as a follow-up to Luciano. And the second one was you're talking about a minimum of 4 events in the what you call in the golden events, but is that going to stay 4 or 5 or 6, or because if we're talking about replacing the prize money pot compared to Diamond League events, 4 at 20k versus 4 at 30k is 66%. So what's the thinking in the long-term planning of that? And of course, losing out on the Diamond League bonus, the Diamond League final bonus is a huge amount to those athletes that are excluded from the Diamond League now.
Let me start with, and welcome Sean and Daniel next to you. Let me start with the television product, and actually we had a very brief discussion about that yesterday. I think it would be exciting to use the Continental Tour to do a number of things, one of which is to drive innovation in the way that we broadcast all our events. And I know that Sean, you've been involved in creating some really interesting ideas around some of the field events, particularly the throws, but I think they're actually relevant beyond just the throws. And we look forward to working with you on those ideas and hopefully being able to implement some of those ideas next year. So hopefully this can be a really good incubation of new ideas for World Athletics, and I think everyone involved is up for that. So rest assured on that front. In terms of the impact on those events that are not fully included in the Diamond League, first thing to remember, the changes that are being made within Diamond League are for 2020 only, and then there'll be a full review of all those changes going forward. And I think we are still, as I said, working on concluding the number of times each discipline is included within the Continental Tour. As I said, 4 or 5 times will be the minimum. We're still working on that, and that'll be announced as soon as we can in terms of the full roster of events that will be included.
Okay, oh, sorry.
I would just add that all of these meets, or majority of these meets, are having as a host broadcasters relevant public TV stations in each country. That means they are experienced in producing athletics, and they will be ready to hear all the new formats and opinions and plans about producing, let's say, special signal for discus and so on. So this will be also everything considered in this project.
Okay, gentleman in the middle, and we'll come back to...
Nicolas Herbelot, l'équipe. Since you have clearly 2 tiers now of meets with the Diamond League and the Continental Tour, is there an idea of promotion relegation between the 2 of them? And if yes, what kind of classification you can make between the meets? To say this one is the last one, it has to go down, and this one is going up.
Within the Continental Tour, the tiers are very much gold, silver and bronze. I think in terms of movement between Diamond League and the Continental Tour, I think they are separate products, and Diamond League is a separate company that's made up of the meetings that are involved, plus World Athletics as being a shareholder in that company. They will make decisions that are designed to be best for the Diamond League, and here we will make decisions with the meetings involved in terms of what's best for the Continental Tour. So that's the focus at the moment. And by the way, can I make one thing absolutely clear? When we talk, and Alphonse talks about 4 or 5 appearances for each discipline within the Continental Tour, that's obviously 4 or 5 for the men's event and 4 or 5 for the women's event. So it's not a collective of men's and women's together, just so we're absolutely clear.
And I also can add that it is already now like that. So when we will have a 10th meet, this number will be even in certain cases bigger than 4 or 5, because we don't calculate now with the 10th meet in these calculations.
Hi, Olaf.
So the hammer throws, if I understand, will have the same level than the non-Diamond League events, like the 4, or is not the same level? Because they were not included so far.
They don't get the wildcard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same level.
Yes.
No wild. Yeah, but they won't get the wild card into the World Champs. I just want to make sure everyone's very clear about that. Yeah, the prize money and everything else stays the same. It's only the wild card that will change. Okay, okay, yes, Sean, again at the back.
Sorry, clarification on what you just said there. You just said that the hammer throws won't get the wild card. At the moment, the hammer challenge receives the wild card. Is the hammer challenge going to continue, or is the hammer challenge going to be replaced by the Continental Tour? The hammer is coming into the Continental Tour, and then we'll deliver a wild card entry.
No, I think we need to look at what, sorry, just to be clear, when John spoke earlier about the disciplines that were coming from the Diamond League and the wild card, that was absolutely for those 4 Diamond League disciplines. The wild cards that currently exist through the challenges, I think we need to have a look at, but if they exist for a wild card into the World Champs, no one wants to take that away. All of this is about additional, is about adding to it, not taking it away.
So the hammer challenge remains as a hammer challenge, or is going to be brought within these meetings within the Continental Tour, which would make more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sean, that's been so the mechanism that leads to a wild card will absolutely remain. There'll be a number of hammer competitions within the Continental Tour. We're just concluding whether the hammer as an event can be completely encapsulated within the Continental Tour, or actually it may need to include both gold and silver level meetings. But there'll absolutely be a mechanism where hammer enjoys all the same advantages it does at the moment, along with the other events.
At the moment, it's actually a disadvantage because many of the hammer tour, hammer challenge competitions are only hammer competitions. Yeah. So bringing them into a meeting where there are other events and a bigger audience is an advantage, and we would hope that, I think for the Pavel is perhaps better place to say this, but it'd be nice for them to be included in a bigger audience.
That is the intention.
And as we said, they will have this big prize money, which was not part of Hammer Challenge.
Okay, yes.
Thank you. Hiroki Tora from Asahi Shimbun, Japan. I think I may be ahead of this press conference, but I just wanted to clarify. Next year will be a pilot for the gold, but how many are you planning for silver and bronze, and what is the time schedule? Thank you.
Well, that's being worked through at the moment. So in terms of how the Continental Tour works, World Athletics is very much driving the gold level. The silver and bronze level is a collaboration between World Athletics, the 6 areas within athletics, and the meetings in those areas. So that information will be announced later in the year, but it will be a critical mass of meetings, I can assure you of that. But that information is coming later. But this is all about creating a vibrant one-day competition ecosystem in each one of the 6 areas around the world.
Okay, any other questions or clarifications? No? So all of the representatives for the meets, including, I believe, some of our deputy mayors of the cities, are here to please come and talk to them.
Yeah.
Photo. You want to sort that out? I don't know anything about the photo.
I think we can organise a photograph now, and then all our meeting representatives are available, as I am. And thank you once again for being here for this information session. And we very much look forward to working with you all.
Have they got those fact sheets?
Thank you very much.
No.